Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney,
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in news and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when there were more days at Epcot without a festival than with.
This is episode 12, Best of the Fest, Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023.
Or, forget the flowers, bring on the food.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian Adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 12 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And today we're talking about the best of the fest from the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023. Like the food we ate, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, the title doesn't actually have food or wine in it, but let's be honest, that's why we all go.
Yeah, it's the Flower and Garden Food and Wine Festival. Pretty much, yeah. Year-round, yeah.
This year, the festival runs from March 1st to July 5th. So we are pretty much just at the beginning, but still has a couple months to go. So make sure that you get your tickets and go enjoy the festival.
And if you've been listening to us, you know that this is actually the culmination of two different trips to the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival this year. But first, the news.
A couple of things have happened recently in the Epcot sphere and the Disney sphere in general. So we're just going to give you a couple quick updates. The first thing, very exciting, that we just found, there is a new walkway open.
Woohoo! New walkway!
Right? Okay, that may not sound all that exciting. But if you've been to Epcot in the last couple years, you know that it has been affectionately and not been called Walcott because of all the construction walls. So one of those walls now has a new walkway. So that is going to go from behind Spaceship Earth, if you're coming in the front gates behind Spaceship Earth, all the way down to Living Seas. It's a really nice way to cut off some of that walking area through there. It does not extend all the way to the connections area yet, but it will soon, I am going to imagine.
I believe it's actually by the entrance of what's going to be the Moana walkthrough as well.
Right. Stay tuned for that news.
Annual passes are back on sale as of April 20th at Walt Disney World. Actually started on April 13th for DVC members. Iger has confirmed, though, that the coast-to-coast pass that used to be available for both Disneyland and Disney World is not going to be available. The Pixie Dust Pass and the Pirate Pass for Florida residents, the Sorcerer Pass for Florida and DVC members, and the Incredipass for everybody else is going to be available on April 20th.
Next up, let's go and talk about that Moana attraction. So the Journey of Water is slated to open in fall of this year. We actually have a timeline, but not a specific date yet. Stay tuned for that. We should hear one soon. Photos have been released of some of the specific elements, including some of the interactive water features, some of the really cool rock work, and the 16-foot Te Fiti statue. So you'll definitely want to check those out, and we should be getting an opening date soon.
Back across to the other side of the U.S., Splash Mountain at Disneyland now has an official closing date. It will be closing and doing its last zippity-doo-dah on the evening of May 30th. So if you're on the California side and want to get out one time more for a big splash, make sure and do it before May 30th. And I guarantee you reservations for May 30th are going to be selling out very quickly. So if you still can, get those reservations.
On a side note, you were on that opening crew, weren't you?
I was on the opening crew for Splash Mountain. Actually, technically, I got trained just after its original opening date. So I was not on the actual official opening crew, but I was there working opening day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And back at Epcot, the Communicore Hall has been announced as a new meeting location. There's going to be a permanent meet and greet in there for Mickey and Friends. They haven't announced a lot of details on that yet, but we can probably expect to see Mickey and Friends.
And that same area is going to be used for festival things as well. There's going to be
food demonstrations.
Yeah, live concert location. It's going to be pretty cool from the pictures we've seen online.
And it'll include Communicore Plaza, which will be just outside Communicore Hall, where they will have an outdoor stage and do some of those things outdoors as well, which is pretty cool. And don't forget that we have been promised a Figment meet and greet. Finally.
Yay! And in sad news, Sonny Eclipse was found face down on his keyboard on Saturday, April 15th at about 7:30 p.m. It appears that he had been smoking hydraulic fluid. So, children, if you're listening to this, just say no to hydraulic fluid.
This has been your public service announcement.
The more you know.
All right, back to the best of the fest.
This is going to be something that is a culmination of 2 different trips we've taken. If you've been listening to the podcast, you already know that. But we went back in March at the beginning weekend of the fest, and we actually went this last weekend, too, to kind of follow up on some of the foods we missed.
Let's tell you a little bit about what that second trip was before we dive into the best of the
Really
fest.
good idea, because we did break some rules on this one.
We absolutely did. We did follow the one rule that we did tell you, which was to book a great airfare and make it worth doing that single weekend trip. We did 1 day at Epcot. We had 0 PTO, and we packed each a backpack, so it was a carry-on item. Didn't pay to check a bag. It all worked.
Yeah, we got very, very good last-minute airfare on Allegiant right into Sanford. And then flying back, we actually flew back from St. Petersburg. So we did a one-way car rental for not too expensive between the two. By the way, if you're doing something similar to that, look into Enterprise, because their one-way fares between airports, such as Sanford and Punta Gorda and the other ones that are served by Allegiant, including PIE St. Petersburg, are actually about the same as their round-trip fares, as opposed to Avis and some of the others that are going to charge you a ton of extra money if you want to go one way.
Great tip. That's a really good tip, because it saved us a lot of money to fly into one airport and out of another. So that was a great idea. A couple of the rules that we did break, however, we went on a weekend.
We went on a holiday weekend.
We went on the Saturday of a holiday weekend.
Which is, if you've listened to us, you know that that's not exactly the best time to go. But for us, it worked out time-wise and dollar-wise, actually. The airfares on Allegiant were actually going to be cheaper that weekend than many of the other weekends we looked at. And it's in the same range in April.
And one of the reasons that this was doable for us on a holiday weekend is that Easter's not huge for travel. It's not a weekend that's known for traveling. And this happened to be the official opening weekend of Tron at Magic Kingdom. So we knew that a lot of the crowds are going to be focused over there and not so much at Epcot. So our single day at Epcot, we were able to get everything done. We did break one more rule, and we did buy Genie Plus for the day.
It actually worked to our advantage, though, even though it was $35, the most expensive it's ever been.
But again, what was the Express Pass at Universal?
Express Pass starts at $90 for 1 day, 1 park. For 2 days, or 1 day, 2 park, it starts at $109,
I believe.
Or something.
So just to review, $35 sounds outrageous when you're used to paying $15 and when you're used to Fast Pass for free. But it was very economical.
And it enabled us to get on Frozen and Soarin', and it allowed us to do some other even just kind of quicker line hopping on Living with the Land and Nemo.
Ones where we probably didn't need it, but we had it, so we used it. So why not? But we beat out a 120-minute line, I believe, for Soarin', and boarded in about 15 minutes.
And surprisingly, 75 minutes for Frozen.
Right?
I don't know why the day we were there, Frozen actually wasn't all that bad. I mean, that's comparative, obviously.
Yes.
That's still a very long line. But it was worth the $35 for us just to have the peace of mind that we could actually do other things and then go ride those attractions that we did want to do. Since our priority was not ride-based, it was food-based in this one, it actually allowed us that extra time out of the queue to catch up with the food and the wine and the booze and the
and the flowers.
And the flowers. Yeah, the flowers are flowers again.
Gorgeous.
Amazing. One thing, of course, with Garden and Wine is they really do overdo the amount of flowers that you're going to see everywhere in the park, including the topiaries. This year with Maribel and family up front, Tiana and Naveen out in the back, even Miss Piggy and Kermit. I just love the topiaries.
The Peter Pan and the Hook and the crocodile.
What's his name?
Does he have a name? Is his name TikTok? It should be.
It should be.
But his name is...
TikTok's on TikTok. Hey.
But I did take a few pictures. I'll post those of some of the favorite topiaries.
The only problem is all of the topiaries look like they just got off of Mission Space.
Yeah, seriously.
All
Especially Bo Peep.
green.
If you've seen Bo Peep... I didn't take a picture of her, but if you've seen the Bo Peep one this year, she's terrifying.
Yeah, it's the eyes.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, remind us to talk about the eyes on Cinderella on the Disney Wish when we do that episode.
Oh, we will, because I did take pictures.
She's
there.
possessed, folks.
She's possessed. But because we did have the GD Plus, we were able to do those things that we weren't necessarily there to do. They were just really, really nice bonuses. So that was the rules that we broke with purpose. So on to the best of the fest. So unlike our previous lists and doing our own top 5, we have compiled ours to give you the very best of what we were able to try. So all in all, we tried 23 items from the booths. I did count.
That's over both trips.
Yes. So we're just going to jump into our top 5. We're going to have a couple of honorable mentions, and then we're going to tell you the other stuff we tried and rank those.
Okay, so number 5.
Number 5 is from the Fleur de Lis booth, which is the France Pavilion.
Yes, Fleur de Lis.
Fleur de Lis.
Fleur de Lis.
It is the croissant au fromage de chèvre, which is the croissant with goat cheese, herbs, and roasted garlic.
By the way, that came in very handy when we went to Disneyland Paris. She knows how to pronounce things in French.
A little bit,
I'm a little too hillbilly for that.
As soon as I would start to say anything in French, they would stop me and say English. So,
no.
That's
Do
how
not
good I
speak
pronounce
my
things.
language. Now, this is not a new item, though, too.
No.
This is something that we've had year to year there, and we actually kind of crave it. And they have a variation of this in other festivals, too. But,
Yeah, every time that there's a festival, there is some sort of bread-type item filled with some sort of cheese. And we're here for it. Every time.
But this one was the goat cheese.
Yes, and the herbed goat cheese. Stuffed in a buttery, flaky croissant that just on its own is impeccable. And then you put that goat cheese in there with the herbs and the garlic, and oh my gosh, it is totally to die for. Now, what we did not try this time was the La Vie en Rose slushy. It is vodka, Grey Goose, L'Orange vodka, Saint Germain elderflower liqueur, and white and red cranberry juices. We didn't get that this time, but it has made our list in the past when we've done unofficial lists, because that's what we do. But because we'd had it before, we didn't get it again this time, but that one is also worth trying.
And the pairing of the two together is actually really good.
Yes, and it is worth noting, this item is $6.75, which sounds like a lot for a croissant, but believe me, it's worth every penny.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the watermelon salad with blueberries, pickled red onions, and balsamic and feta from the Florida Fresh Kiosk. It is $4.75 and absolutely delicious.
It's such an odd pairing, but it works so stinking well.
It does, and it sounds like something simple that you could throw together at home. It is just so refreshing and so fresh and so just perfect on a Florida day. It's just the perfect bite. Yeah, this definitely made our list. All of our top 5, we rated 5 out of 5.
Number 3.
Number 3 is from the new kiosk this year, which was the Brunch Cot. And just the fact that they had a kiosk called Brunch Cot had my name written all over it. I love brunch. So this item is number 3 on our list, and it is the Lox Benedict on everything focaccia with everything spiced cream cheese, shallots, crispy capers, and hollandaise. For some reason, the descriptions that I'm reading always seem to leave off an ingredient. And the ingredient on this one is an absolutely perfectly poached egg. I don't know who is in charge of poaching the eggs at Brunch Cot, but that person needs a raise. To be able to mass produce perfectly poached eggs is some kind of witchcraft I don't understand. I can't even do one at home and make it perfect.
And we saw several come out. Every one of them was perfectly done.
Yeah.
So yeah, please give that cast member a raise.
Seriously.
If you're a Benedict fan, do not miss this one. The lox, along with the everything bagel, gives it that kind of New York deli kind of flair to it.
We ordered one. We shared it with 3 of us. It was perfect because it's so rich that you don't want a whole thing of it, I wouldn't imagine. It is $7.50, which is an unbelievable price for this item.
And don't let the fact that there's lox on there or salmon basically throw you. It's not as fishy. It's not as salmony. Not salmonelli. No, salmony. It's not as fishy as you would think it is, actually.
Salmon can be a very fishy fish, and this is not. And if you're scared of raw fish, this is not raw. Lox is actually smoked.
Yeah, but the proportions are perfect on this one. So good job, Epcot, on this one.
Seriously, this one needs to come back for sure. It was absolutely perfect.
Number 2.
Number 2 is the orange sesame tempura shrimp with orange chili sauce.
I'll say we went into this one with high hopes, and we're not disappointed.
Until the very last trip that we did, this was my number 1. There's 5 shrimp, perfectly tempura fried, with that orange chili sauce that just has a tiny bit of a kick to it, just a hint of heat, and that sticky orange glaze. Again, we were able to share with 3 of us. We were all perfectly satisfied with it. Had there been 6 containers of it, I would have eaten more because it was that good.
I would have done the sauce on top with just a straw. I mean, it was, if you like the Thai chili flavors, if you like orange chicken, and if you like shrimp, I mean, you cannot go wrong with this. Again, the flavors were perfectly combined on this in a single bite shrimp.
And this wasn't a fancy one. Like, there wasn't some grand presentation. It's just 5 tempura shrimp and the sauce in a little basket, and that's it. Like, this was not a fancy dish, and it was our last thing of the evening on our first trip, and it was the perfect way to end the trip. This one is $7. It's from the Citrus Blossom kiosk, which is inside the Odyssey.
Number 1.
Number 1? Are we at number 1 already?
How'd we get there?
It's a mystery.
This is one that we missed on the first trip. Yep. And to be honest, one of the reasons we planned the trip back was just to try this one. We had heard other people in other podcasts talk about this one. We didn't want to miss it, and it did not disappoint.
This was actually the reason we booked the trip. We're not going to lie. So this is from the Farmer's Feast kiosk. It is the char-grilled bison ribeye with creamy leek fondue, red wine butter sauce, and whipped red wine goat cheese. It was only $8.25, and we did record some of our thoughts, so we're going to play you a little clip of our thoughts in the moment.
So the ribeye was perfectly done. It was a little over medium, I would say, but it was very, very tender. I didn't know what to expect from bison. I don't know if I've had it or not. The creamy leek fondue is indeed creamy. It is full of leeks, which I was just saying is, I think, an underused ingredient in American cuisine. The red wine sauce and the red wine goat cheese are both absolutely phenomenal, and I would have even enjoyed more of the goat cheese, just to add that tang to it.
Everything paired so well together that the one bite was one of the best bites I've had at this festival, period. But maybe one of the best bites I've had at a festival, period.
Yeah, this is definitely on the best of list for sure. And it is possibly imported from heaven. I'm not sure.
As Daffy Duck would say, derule.
So yeah, as you can see, we kind of liked this one. It was 3 big pieces of bison and the creamy leek fondue. It was, I have to say it, like I said, it was probably one of the best bites I've had at Epcot, maybe ever.
But this is something, like, had this been a normal dish, even the portion size that we got would have been $30 in a restaurant. It was something that amazing.
Really, yeah, it needs to be at Le Cellier. It's that good that they need to keep it around. Now, here's the bad part about this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Uh-oh. We were there on the very last day that it served.
Yeah, so as much as we're going to talk it up, I'm so sorry, but it is gone. This particular kiosk changes their menu 3 times, and it's already changed. We were there on the very last day of this one. They've now switched to a swordfish. We've heard really good things about the swordfish already. So this is grilled swordfish with crushed fingerling potatoes, pea and mint puree, grilled asparagus, and lemon beurre blanc, also for $8.25. Again, we didn't try the swordfish because it was there the day after. But just so you know, that is what's there now in place of this ribeye.
And then it's going to change one more time?
Yes, the swordfish is there through May 20th. Beginning May 21st, that main dish is going to switch to a barbecued seared pork tenderloin with summer succotash, herb butter, and grapefruit vinaigrette.
Yeah, the price on that one has not been released yet.
Right.
The swordfish actually is the same price as the bison was. There will be a brand new menu again for this kiosk up until July 5th. Something odd to note about this festival is it actually ends July 5th, and Food and Wine doesn't start until late July. There's actually going to be about 2.5 weeks about.
Yeah, almost
I think
3
if I'm
weeks
doing my,
of just Diet Epcot.
If I'm doing my math right.
We're really sorry if you missed the bison ribeye. It was absolutely the perfect bite, but we hear good things about the swordfish. So
Disney, if you're listening, bring
Right.
back the bison.
just make it permanent somewhere. I don't even care where. We'll go find it. That was our number one spot, and it was number one by about a mile. I said any of our top 5 could have gone in any of those spots, but that one, we both immediately knew that was our number one after the first bite. So next we're going to talk about a couple honorable mentions. We each have 2 that we're going to bring up. Rod, why don't you start?
The first one we mentioned in a previous episode, actually, and that was the pretzel bread at the... I'm not even going to be able to pronounce this. It's farmer's market, basically. It's Burin Market. No. That's not even... That's bad. It's a German word that means farmer's market over in the Germany pavilion. And it is toasted pretzel bread topped with Black Forest ham and melted Gruyere cheese for $5.75. And it surprised me. I love pretzel bread, I love Gruyere, and I love ham, but this was a perfect bite. Little heavy because of the pretzel bread, but if you can get some of the mustard or something from the walk-up around the corner and throw that on top, you have yourself a very good lunch sandwich for under $6.
So my first honorable mention is going to be a returning item. It is the Taco Vampiro from, I'm going to say this wrong, Jardín de Fiesta.
Pretty good, yeah.
I look at it and I try to say it like you would in French or English, and I don't really do the Spanish as well.
You need to check out Andy's new podcast that he just did. It's on Speaking Spanish.
Nice.
Yeah,
that would be Andy Apodaca.
Andy Apodaca, yes. Our linguist friend.
So the Taco Vampiro is, again, from that Mexico kiosk, and it is barbacoa beef in a corn tortilla with crispy grilled Monterey Jack cheese, salsa ranchera, and esquites. Now, pro tip, you take the esquites, which are in a little cup on the side, which is corn salsa, and you put it on top with the salsa ranchero and the barbacoa beef. And the crispy grilled Monterey Jack cheese that they mention, what they fail to tell you is that's all the way around the tortilla on the outside. There is crispy cheese on the outside of this taco. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Where has that been all of our life? Taco Bell, if you're listening.
No, don't ruin it.
Not Taco Bell. No. Taco Time? Taco John's.
Oh, there we go. I don't know, but it's anywhere. It is so good. This was one that was our favorite last year, and we were so happy that it came back. We just call it the vampire taco because I don't really know what Taco Vampiro means, but it sounds like vampire.
I think it's vampire taco. It has a little kick to it.
It does. It has just a little bit of heat, not overly heated. It's not super spicy, but it's just the perfect blend of cheesy, crunchy, with that nice salty beef that's not overwhelming. It's just super flavorful.
But wait, how much does it cost to get that goodness in me?
It is only $8.75
For one taco?
For one taco, and worth every peso. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
incredible.
Pair that with one of the street corn, corn on the cobs from the margarita stand. And
Chozo de Margarita next door. That would be a great meal. So next honorable mention is from Rod.
this one kind of took me by surprise, just because, I mean, I love muffaletta sandwiches, but this one actually had, again, the perfect bite to it. It's the muffaletta panini. It has ham, salami, mortadella, provolone, and Swiss. And, of course, it's got the tapenade,
Tapenade.
olive salad on top for $6. And, again, if you love a muffaletta, great. But this is like a muffaletta squished. It's a muffaletta panini. Why don't they do this more places? So many places you go get a muffaletta, and it is just bread, and some meat. unless you're down on New Orleans, like when we were with our friends John and Emily and had a real one from the streets in New Orleans. That was the best one on the planet that I've ever had. But this one, being a muffaletta sandwich, 4 or 5 bites for $6 in a panini was perfect.
My favorite part about it was the fact that it was a panini, so it was crunchy on the outside.
Yeah.
So you didn't just get that soft. You got that crunch that just sold it.
Yeah, texture-wise, too. It was a real surprise and a big hit with me. Did not hit my top 5, just because there were so many other good things, but it would be something I would go back to again and again at the festival.
And for $6, if you were doing that on your own, it could make a great lunch just on its own for $6. Incredible. And where can we find this delicious sandwich?
Why, that's at the Magnolia Terrace in the American Adventure.
Nice.
It's yummy.
It's so good. And my last honorable mention is going to be from Northern Bloom, which is in the Canada Pavilion.
Canada.
Very nice. So this one was actually one that we meant to do on our first trip. It's one of the selections that Catherine picked, and we didn't get to that day because we park hopped. So we went back and got it this time.
No regrets.
No regrets. So this is the seared scallops with French green beans, butter potatoes, brown butter vinaigrette, and applewood smoked bacon.
Yeah, that brown butter vinaigrette sold it. I could eat that on a shoe.
Gosh. It was so good. This was so much better than I thought it would be. We've heard some complaints from other venues that the scallops are too small for what you pay.
Or rubbery or cold. I think it just depends on when you get it.
When we got them, they were absolutely perfect. There were 2 smallish scallops. Scallops are a pricey item, so it's not like we expected it to be a lot of scallop.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be a full meal. It's
right, and it's only $7.50. So, I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get. Right. But the scallops were perfectly done. They weren't sandy or gritty. They weren't rubbery. They weren't cold. They were perfect. And the potatoes were soft and buttery. They call them butter potatoes. They mean it. They taste like they have been basted in butter. I don't know what the deal is, but they were so good.
The pairing of the potato with the scallop, I mean, it's almost like a fish and chips in that it paired perfectly. Definitely, scallops are not fishy, chippy kind of things, but being a little more expensive, having the two together was actually really, really complimentary.
The only reason this one didn't make my top 5 was because of the green beans, and even though I like a crunchy green bean, I don't like them when they're mushy. These were just next to raw.
A little al dente.
Way too al dente, like just out of the garden.
But again, it could have been just the timing on that, where we got the perfect scallop and the green beans were a little off. Because we've heard other people say that the green beans were great, but the scallops were off. So
it's all a matter of timing. Those were our honorable mentions. The other things we tried, I'm just going to run through real quick, tell you where you can find them and what they are. And we're going to rate them from 1 to 5, each of us. So we also tried the cinnamon roll bites from Brunchcott.
These really had a high spot in my high hopes list. I was really hoping that these were yummy, and they were on the outside. It's just odd to me that they put stuff on the inside of these.
Yeah, because these are from Brunchcott. I don't know if I said that, but they're from Brunchcott. The description says fried cinnamon roll bites with cream cheese frosting and candied bacon. Now that is all true. However, on the inside, there's a cinnamon cream filling that it's just too much. It's too soft and squishy, and it squishes out. And
I thought it was a little bland, actually. To me, it dulled the flavor of the entire bite that you got by biting into the cinnamon roll bite. I love cinnamon rolls. Love cinnamon. Didn't care for this because of the filling.
Agreed. I felt like it was competing with the cinnamon sugar that was actually on the crunchy outside, which was so good. The outside was yummy. And the candied bacon was good. Mm-hmm. I found myself just picking off the candied bacon and eating it.
I love the saltiness of the bacon with the sweetness of the cinnamon, too.
Yes.
That really was nice.
That was nice.
I have to say, though, out of 5, I only give this 2 Nada golf balls.
Ditto. 2 Nada golf balls for me as well. This is only $4.75. It's a great deal. There's 3 of those donuts in there. By all means, this should be a good thing. If you have kids who really like the sweet, they might just thrill over this. Our second one that we tried but didn't make the list at all was the pollinator flatbread This is from the Honey Bistro, and it has honey whipped mascarpone, honey caramelized onions, blueberry gastrique, prosciutto, honey whipped goat cheese, arugula, honey vinaigrette, and bee pollen.
So how could this one be a miss?
Right? It sounds delicious. There were also nice, plump, fresh blueberries on there, which they didn't put on the ingredient list again.
It just turned out to be a lot of flatbread with a lot of missed opportunity on the flavor.
Yes,
The
that's
flavors
exactly.
just... I couldn't taste the bee pollen. I couldn't really taste a lot of anything but flatbread.
Yeah, the very first bite that I took was good. It had a little bit of everything on it, and it was a nice bite. But past that, it was all bread. Like, I don't know if it's just the one that we got was off, but it was such a disappointment. And for that many tasty ingredients, it was extremely bland. There just wasn't a lot that you could actually taste on it.
Yeah, sad but true. And again, it may have been timing for this on us, but it just didn't hit. I think this one was maybe 2.5.
And I'm going to rate it 2 out of 5 not a golf balls. Very sad. It is $6.25, and it is there for the remainder of the festival. So next on our list is from La Isla Fresca, and we tried the sugarcane shrimp skewer with Ben's Original long grain white rice, mango salsa, and coconut lime sauce. It is $7.25, and La Isla Fresca is located between France and Morocco. It's the one that was the Encanto booth, if you were there last year. So again, this one was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It's $7.25, and there were 5 good-sized shrimp, a good portion of rice, and that salsa with the mango and the jalapeno was delicious.
It's just when you bite into something, you expect a lot more flavor from the protein. And the shrimp themselves were just flavorless. All I could taste when I bit into it was the bitterness of the jalapeno and the salsa, the sweetness from the salsa, and the shrimp was lost. It seems
true.
like maybe a different protein with the same salsa would have worked better.
Yeah, that is possible. Shrimp was definitely prominent at this year's festival. I'm not sure if they just got a good deal or something, but the other one that we had made our top 5, so it's just hit and miss. What they don't tell you in this description is that this is a very spicy item. This had a good amount of kick to it.
Yeah, don't let the word sugarcane fool you. This one actually needs to be paired with a good beer or a good wine.
Yep.
Because it will light up your life.
Yeah, and they don't warn you about that. Because it says sugarcane as the first thing, I was picturing something that had a sweet ending to it, like the orange tempura.
Yes, exactly.
Where it has that little bit of sweetness with the heat. This had no sweetness except for the mango pieces and the salsa. That sugarcane is only the skewer. It's a piece of sugarcane. So that's...
Yeah, literally.
I mean, it does say that. It says sugarcane shrimp skewer, and they mean it. But yeah, this one was just a miss. I rated this one 3 out of 5 not a golf balls.
Yeah, it was definitely 3 out of 5 not a golf balls. I mean, it was definitely very yummy. It just took us a little off guard that there was not as much flavor to it and a lot more heat than we expected. Now, again, growing up in Central California, we're used to the heat in food. Living in Missouri, there is no heat in food.
It's true.
I know people that actually put table pepper on things and think it's too spicy. However, this was very yummy. They just need to warn people that there is a lot of heat with this one, and it's not really sweet.
Correct.
I just think it's misnamed by putting sugarcane.
It is, however, a good-sized portion. So if you're looking for something for lunch, one of these would be a good lunch item. So going back to Magnolia Terrace now in the American Adventure, we also tried the gumbo. And this is spicy chicken gumbo with andouille sausage, Ben's Original long grain, and wild rice. And it is $6.25.
Now, this is one I did not try, so we're going to actually refer to Sue on this one for her review. I do know that her and Catherine both did like it because of their faces lighting up when they ate it. And I don't think that was just the heat in it. I think that was the flavor.
You are correct. It was very, very good. This one was actually really close to making my list. We talked to our friend Catherine, and this was one of her top items, possibly her very top item behind the watermelon salad. And for me, I enjoyed it very much. It almost made my list, but because it's hot gumbo on a hot Florida day, At the American Pavilion, where there's not a lot of indoor or shaded options, it just didn't hit right. So I think that was my main complaint. Had we been there on a nice chilly day and there was cloud cover and there was a breeze, it might have hit completely different. The flavors were all there. It was good. It just missed. I would still put this one at a 4 out of 5, not a golf balls. And then the last food item that we tried but didn't make our list was the chocolate cake. This is from the Trowel and Trellis, hosted by Impossible Foods. So this is a plant-based item. It was chocolate cake with blackcurrant ganache, mixed berry compote, and chocolate ice cream. It was only $5. And again, it is plant-based. It's a new item this year. Rod, why don't you give your thoughts?
It was very yummy in that it's the chocolate with the fruit, and it actually hit me really good for one bite. And then it was just too heavy.
There were 3 of us again for this one. This was from the first trip, and it was one of those where we split it 3 ways, and one bite was fine for all of us. None of us felt like we were lacking. It was very, very good. If you are a plant-based eater, this is a great dessert option. Chocolate ice cream melted right away, and we were there in March, so take that for what you will. Again, the chocolate and the fruit combo was really nice. The texture of the cake was surprisingly delicious. It was really, really good. Very, I know everybody hates this word, but it was very moist. Moist. And it was a very nice texture. I would never have known that this was plant-based.
That's true. I'm not usually into the vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free foods as much, but this really surprised me in how good it was. It's just simply wrong place, wrong time for me on this one.
That was exactly.
I give it 4 not a golf balls because it was so yummy.
I'm going to give it 3 not a golf balls. And that is simply, like you said, wrong place, wrong time. So the last thing we're going to rank are the drinks that we tried. We tried 5 beverages from the festival, and we're just going to rank them in our order of preference. Number 5.
Number 5.
Sorry, you say it.
That's going to be a union grievance. How dare you? Number 5.
Number 5 comes from Brunchcott. And this one was the Joffrey's Coffee Cold Brew Cocktail with milk, Kahlua rum, and coffee liqueur, and vanilla vodka.
Okay, guys, how can you screw this up?
Right?
These are the same people that make Shaky Jamaicas, which I adore.
And seasonal drinks that are always a hit.
This physically made me mad because
Seriously.
I love getting the Joffrey's coffees when we're there.
Yep.
This one was so boozy that you couldn't taste the coffee.
That's not usually something that we complain about. However,
good point.
It was $10.50 for a very small glass. I'm going to post a picture of the cold brew with the cinnamon bites, so you'll be able to see in comparison. It was a very small glass, and it was so alcohol forward. We could not finish it. We took about 4 sips between us. We ate maybe a whole donut with it and left the rest. We threw away this $10.50 drink, and it just was not edible for us.
Number 4.
Number 4. This is from the Pineapple Promenade booth, and it was the Florida Orange Groves Winery Sparkling Pineapple Wine from St. Petersburg, Florida. It was $12 for a glass. Very, very pretty glass. You actually get a champagne flute, which is so much fun to walk around with at a festival.
I felt so fancy.
Right?
This was actually my drink. This was something.
So
I love pineapple. I love the wine. It actually was a really good small drink. This is not one I probably would drink a lot of, but it would be really good as part of a mimosa or as part of another beverage, like a mixed beverage. On its own, it was very sweet. It's a sparkling wine, so that is expected, but that along with the pineapple flavoring made it extremely sweet. So if you're into sweeter wines, I would definitely recommend this one. It's about $9, is that right?
It's $12.
$12. Okay, yeah. So it was a little pricey for a small pour, but it was actually worth getting, and I would definitely get this one again. I could not drink a ton of it, though, simply because it is way too sweet. Number 3.
Number 3 is from the same booth. So we are back at the Pineapple Promenade booth, And this is one that I have to confess, it is a standard at this festival. It is at every Flower and Garden Festival, and I have never tried it. So I finally got it this year, and it is the Frozen Desert Violet Lemonade. It's non-alcoholic, so it's only $4.50. It is beautiful. It is probably the most Instagrammable drink at the festival. You see pictures of it every time this festival comes out, and I'm no different. I took my picture. You'll see it on the Instagram. So my review of this, I actually gave this a 5 out of 5 not a golf balls. It was so much more than I expected it to be. I am a little citrus averse. Just personally, I love citrus flavors. I don't like the acid content. So doing a lemonade is a stretch for me. This one had enough of that desert pear and violet that it was absolutely phenomenal. It was so good. It was light and refreshing. It was tart and sweet. I loved it.
I tasted it, and I have to admit, I did enjoy it. I couldn't drink a lot of it, though. I didn't care for the desert pear flavor as much as Sue did, but it is one of the better ones that exist there at the festival.
And I believe specifically that you had mentioned that it tasted too floral for you.
It did, yeah. After
accurate?
a few drinks, it was just a little too floral.
Yeah, and that's totally fair.
That's just that, and again, that's just my palate.
Right.
Number 2,
we're going back to the Honey Bistro, hosted by the National Honey Board. And we got the Honey Peach Cobbler Freeze with streusel. Now, this one is available in 2 different ways. We got the one which is non-alcoholic, which was only $4.75. You can also do it with a blueberry vodka added, which makes it $12.50. This was number 2 on our list. It was delicious.
Unless you told me this was a beverage, I would believe this would be listed as a dessert.
Oh, absolutely.
It's almost a soft serve. The honey and the peach were perfect together.
Yeah, we would go back and get this drink again and leave the flatbread alone next time.
Yeah.
But we ate it with spoons as if it was ice cream because that's what it felt like. And the little streusel crunch on top was just the perfect element to kind of break up that creaminess. It was really, really good. I imagine if you got it with the vodka added, it would make it more of a beverage texture and you would be able to drink it more.
Very good point.
But this was, even if you think of it as a milkshake, it's still spoonable as opposed to strawable.
I like that.
Is that a thing?
Spoonable.
That's a thing. So yeah, I gave this one 4 out of 5 not a golf balls as well.
Number 1.
Now, this is one that I have mentioned previously when we first got back, and this is one Rod didn't try, but I kidnapped this number 1 spot for myself because it was so perfect. They basically thought, what is a drink Sue would like? And they made this. And it was from the Florida Fresh booth, and it is the cucumber watermelon slushy with gin. I am 100% a gin girl. That is my go-to. And the fact that they did cucumber and watermelon and the slushy texture and the gin, it was made for me. You can get it non-alcoholic for $4.75, and you can get it with the delicious, delicious gin for $12.50.
This is one that I would have loved, I think, as a non-alcoholic drink because I love watermelon and cucumber together, which is why I would agree with Sue. This is a number 1 drink at the festival. I'm just not a gin person, so I defer to her taste buds. It's like drinking Pine Sol.
In a good way.
Kids, do not drink Pine Sol.
Right. Yes. Now, our friend Catherine did try this one with me as well. She got her own. She didn't finish hers. I finished mine. I would have finished hers as well, but that wasn't the thing. But she is also not a fan of gin in general. That's not her thing. But she also really enjoyed this one. So I think that the fruit flavors outshine the alcohol flavor. Just as an FYI, if you're going to try it, and you should.
So that was our top 5 food and beverages for the Flower and Garden Festivals. Let us know what you think are ones that we've missed that we need to try. Maybe we'll end up back again sometime before the end of the festival. We can get a good airfare again. Down in the comments, let us know what you also liked and what your top 5 is. We'd love to know.
And if you didn't make it to the festival, let us know which one sparked your interest, one that you would want to try. Were you there?
Before we go, we'd like to thank our friend and old Disney cast member buddy of mine, Andy Apodaca at the Palm Springs Linguist, and some other old friends of mine, Ken and Lynn at the Sweep Spot, for their assistance and support with getting this podcast started. We'd love to also give a big thanks out to our social media coordinator, Riley Piper, audio engineers Joey Humphrey and Paul Trett, logo artist Evan Piper, and as always, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really, really does help people find us.
This has been episode 12 of the Phoenician Adventure.
I like it.
This has been episode 12 of the Epcotian Adventure. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
Oh wait, that was People Mover turning into the dating game.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what that was.
That was amazing, is what that was.